Meme-wise, we adopted him, but like as far as like overall perception, we didn't adopt him in that same way.
We adopted him, but it was like he's invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he's
Right.
black.
Yeah,
People were calling Piccolo
he had
black.
green skin.
People
Right.
still call
he had
Piccolo
green
black.
It's niggas in the hood who name themselves after Piccolo from Dragon
Well, I mean,
Ball
think
Z.
about Namek. It was the planet of niggas. that's what Namek was. That's what we used to jokingly call Namek.
That's hilarious.
You can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, I am going to be having a sit-down conversation with the talented brothers from over at Waving the Red Flag podcast, Eddie, Josh, and Alvin. And we're going to be talking about a thing I have dubbed the Piccolo Effect. The Piccolo Effect is a situation where a piece of media does not necessarily have any outward black representation, but there may be a character, regardless whether they are white, blue, green, red, or whatever, that character, while they may not be black, they might just be adopted as being black. And we're also going to talk about the reasonings behind this. But if you enjoyed this conversation, there'll be links in the description below, and as well as a pinned comment below. You can go check out Waving the Red Flag. These guys are awesome. And if for whatever reason you aren't familiar with these brothers, you should go check out the episode where I guest appeared on their show. And it's a really awesome conversation where we talk about a ton of stuff, but we also talk about Invincible. That's mostly the reason why I'm there for that episode. But yeah, go check it out. It's awesome. It's great. And yeah, sit back, relax, grab yourself a glass of tangerine Kool-Aid, and enjoy the show. I'm the oldest among us, so I probably have a little bit more of a unique experience with this. Growing up black, the thing that always stuck out to me, it didn't matter like whether it was the 80s, the 90s, maybe even a part of the early, maybe somewhere in the early aughts, whether it was TV shows, books, manga, comics, video games, pretty much everything, any type of media you could possibly consume. There was always this thing. It wasn't really until, Eddie, I think you and I were, kind of rapping with each other in Twitter DMs, and we're talking about like, man, what should we talk about when we, get us all back in the same room together. The thing that crossed my mind was the Piccolo Effect.
Talk that shit, my nigga.
Scientific. Science. He's a scientist.
Why do I feel like I'm was it Professor Bunsen now? I feel like I got the lab, I got the little Muppet little lab coat on and everything, got beaker behind me and everything. I'm cooking now.
Introducing the Piccolo Effect.
1 + 1 don't always equal 2.
Oh, that's the Terrence Howard math. It's about representation, not multiplication, my brother.
Indeed, my nigga, indeed.
Why are we talking to the dude in was it Don't Be a Menace, the Muslim brother? He's like,
Oh,
My
magnesia.
milk magnesia.
I assume just based on the response, y'all had that same experience. Like, you are watching something, you're reading something, you're playing something, you see a character that ain't black. There might not even be any black folks in the whole thing. There might not be any black folks in the proceeding.
Might not be no humans.
But there's always that one person that we just adopted. Just a random character. And for those who don't even know what I'm talking about, for y'all who are not a part of this conversation, it could be a character like Piccolo, as the name for the issue would imply. Who is not black? Dude's green. Dude's green as a motherfucker.
He's colored.
He is colored,
Very
though.
much
He
so
is colored.
He's a person of color.
Look, you want to hear some sad shit? I Googled black Dragon Ball Z characters.
It's just Mr. Popo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was the main thing I was thinking about.
Isn't that one wrestler black, though? He seems light-skinned. Hercule.
Or Hercule first.
Ooh was colored.
Ooh was Indian, first of all.
Yeah.
But he wasn't black. He didn't code as black.
Hercule
Yeah.
seemed black.
Hercule comes off as black. Like, he has black isms.
I mean,
like
he
the
has a literal afro.
like
his hair.
the way that he is written, the way that he's performed, he talks in a way that you would imagine Japanese people think black people
I've met
talk.
this black guy, though.
Like-
Like I literally have met this guy. I know
I
these
think-
dudes that look just like this.
I think language cues are extremely important in how
Yeah.
we approach all of this, and that was going to be one of my points. But to Eddie's point, like it seems like he has like a Jewish fro.
Yo, you think
it
so?
seems like
Oh,
he
okay.
has like a white person with the
I
perm.
think it's something about
like,
his
curly
cheekbones
kind
and
of
his
like,
hair,
tan.
like just his like the way he's cut his hair. All of it to me just seems like a black dude with a pickup truck.
1980s black
White,
guy.
yeah, black, exactly.
Like Show Enough.
Like Show
from,
Enough,
like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Last Dragon.
Exactly. It was
You
like a
know what I'm
light skin Show
saying?
Enough.
Yeah, I never thought about that till just now. Y'all just put me on game. Now I'm rethinking this whole Dragon Ball Z thing.
That's what we do, my brother. You know what I mean?
Science. One fish, two fish.
Do your maths.
That was the thing. Like growing up, it wasn't even something anyone had to teach me or tell me or explain to me. It was just always one of those givens that you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. Every black person I knew just talked about Piccolo like oh no, that's us.
That's the black
us
dude.
right
Yeah,
there.
you know Piccolo.
Yeah,
right?
Why do you think that was? What were the things that he was doing that made it to where it's like that we attached to it?
I don't think it was anything that he was doing.
Interesting. Okay.
See, I was gonna say like I think it's like the way his voice, like the voice actor that did it.
That's 1,000,000% what I was gonna say.
And then like sometimes like that calm demeanor, like, and I think we kind of adopted that as our black person, but I don't think that was necessarily the intention of
No, of course not.
Akira Toriyama in making that character.
I think the voice cues are especially important. And I know me and Eddie have talked about this in the past. I think a lot of what people code as black leans very heavy into linguistic and timbre and tone cues, right? So the number one thing that I always call out is, I went to, school with a lot of motherfuckers that sounded like T.I. that like had, surgeon mothers and fathers, and people thought they were just hood as fuck. And then, there's a motherfucker that sounds like Carlton Banks who's from Carver Homes, and everybody thought he was XYZ or whatever, whoop-de-whoop. So a lot of it is, in my opinion, like vocally coded. And to Josh's point, the voice actor for the dub version of Piccolo had a very deep timbered, black leaning, like vocal pattern that I think kind of just resonated with people. Because some of the stuff that he was doing didn't even like. He was no different than Vegeta. Like, if you look at that show, his arc is very similar to Vegeta's. And nobody called Vegeta black.
I feel like Vegeta, though, was like, I'm not saying people did, but I feel like that was because he was so obviously not. I feel like if he wasn't, they would have. Like, I feel like we wanted to adopt him. He felt like a blackish white guy to me.
Meme-wise, we adopted him, but like as far as like overall perception, we didn't adopt him in that same way.
We adopted him, but it was like he's invited
Exactly.
to the cookout.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he's
Exactly.
black.
Yeah,
People were calling Piccolo
'cause he had
black.
green skin.
People
Right.
still call
'Cause he had
Piccolo
green
black.
skin.
It's niggas in the hood who named themselves after Piccolo from Dragon
Well, I mean,
Ball
think
Z.
about Namek. It was the planet of niggas. that's what Namek was. That's what we used to jokingly call Namek.
That's hilarious. I was gonna say though, like there is like one other character who kind of closely resembles Piccolo's the American dub is Bardock, but we've never identified him with being black. And like even some of Bardock's kind of like mannerisms, just a little bit, could be seen as.
And he's darker than the other Saiyans too.
Yeah.
Like he had a tan.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't that like so weird though that like we have this anime, like there's literally like a pop culture phenomenon. Even if you grew up not watching Dragon Ball Z, you knew what Dragon Ball Z was and what it represented. And like you get to this point where you see this thing where like there are literally no black people in it whatsoever, except for like Mr. Popo. And
literally
he's
black.
not even really black. He's just a
He's
Sambo.
literally black.
Yeah, he's literally a Sambo.
Yeah.
And then in Dragon Ball, you had Mr. Black. Because I went digging a little bit too, and he was a primary character, but a bad guy also. So
I do remember Mr. Black, but like I feel like after you get out of Dragon Ball, it's like they don't even like
it was nobody.
That
It was
motherfucker
nobody.
was gone.
Oh, this character's crazy. I just looked this guy up.
Yeah, you had brown-ish people. You had brown-ish people, but they were never coded to be like black in the way you would perceive blackness. Yeah. And honestly, this is something that like I feel like you see it a lot in anime, like just in general, because anime is very, for something that I feel like a lot of black people love, it's not very representative of black people as a whole. You get a lot of characters that that we adopt. Like one of the ones I always thought was kind of funny because I feel like we adopted this motherfucker so much that they ended up making the motherfucker black when they went to Netflix, and that was Cowboy Bebop. Like you look at Jet Black. Yeah, Jet Black was whole white man.
But the dude that played Jet,
was
by
black.
no, but he was black, but by far the best representation of that character as far as like a live action crossover. Like that
Oh,
And the
was
show was horrible. The show was
That's
horrible,
what I
by the way.
heard.
I just want
Oh,
to point
yeah,
that
yeah.
out.
No,
Like, and that's the
Josh is
easiest
shocked to the
anime to
ball.
adapt.
I actually
That was the
didn't mind it.
easiest anime to adopt, and they fucked it up.
My anime hot take is Cowboy Bebop. The live action was not that bad.
Yeah, that's the hottest take ever.
I'm lukewarm. I'm lukewarm on it because it's one of those deals where I saw what they were trying to do, and honestly, this comes from just a background of being so heavily like just engaged with Japanese live action adaptations. Like I watch a lot of Super Sentai, a lot of Kamen Rider, a lot of Ultraman. So like I'm used to seeing stuff that's supposed to be like anime, but just played up in live action. And I'm not gonna lie, kind of like with video games, you have the uncanny valley. I feel like anime has that shit too with live action adaptations. You can get a good one, but the thing is, anime is just so weird and so out there that like when you try to have live action people pretend to be doing the exact same things, it honestly just doesn't work. It comes off real cringe.
Which I agree with, right?
Yeah.
So I think what they did with Cowboy Bebop, and I do want to get back to the topic. This is a very good aside, but what they should have, the tone they should have taken. I'm blanking on the name of it. It's the Netflix original anime with Killer Bee, the serial killer one. But they should have took that tone with Cowboy Bebop because Cowboy Bebop is not this quirky, cringy kind of adaptation like anime territory. It was basically crime noir. Like it was episodes of that were extremely dark that you could have taken down. Basically, like you have those procedural in the middle episodes, and you have that interarching like thread with like the stuff with like the Syndicate and like Vicious and all that kind of stuff. Like you could have made that. You could have made that prestige TV.
Oh yeah.
You could have made Cowboy Bebop prestige TV. And if they had just taken like a different sort of tone with it, it could have been great. And they took it with it was like watching a Cowboy Bebop adaptation made by somebody who had only like watched trailers of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say one episode at best, but like, have y'all watched the One Piece live? And then I'm gonna get us back.
Oh, I fucking okay. Now I fuck with the one.
Hey, well, no,
I fucking fuck with it because it looks convincing.
Well, no, so the tone that One Piece has as live action, I feel like Cowboy Bebop tried to do the same tone when it didn't need to. Like
exactly
the tone of One Piece, it makes sense for One Piece because One Piece is silly. But like Cowboy Bebop is not silly, and yet the tone of the live action Cowboy Bebop show, if you played episodes of them like back to back, like one of Cowboy Bebop, one of One Piece, unless if I just wasn't really paying attention, I would have thought I was watching the same show. No lie.
Oh, I was gonna say, do y'all think that any anime has been successfully like to where it's an improvement on the initial animated, installment? Like not like, okay, I guess this didn't suck, but like, oh fuck, this is good in its own right, kind of thing. Because I can't think
like a live action adaptation.
Because I'm like,
Rurouni Kenshin.
Okay,
I was gonna say that. Rurouni Kenshin was decent. I would not say it's better than the first one. I mean, like than the original, but Rurouni Kenshin.
No. It's an adaptation that when you watch it, you're like, they understood the assignment.
Okay.
Yes, they understood the tone.
Because every other thing,
I think the costume choices were trash. I think the wigs were pretty bad. But
it always seems
the overall like feel of it. I thought the One Piece one got the tone correct, bro. Like I thought
in your view.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best they could have done with that kind of show.
Fair enough.
Like I think they did a solid job.
You can't. The thing is, One Piece is so out there that trying to replicate it 1-to-1 on any level, you're never gonna be.
You can't do Gear 5 live action.
No, and this is coming from. I'm not even a fan of One Piece, and when I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is One Piece as a motherfucker. I'm not even going to deny it. But to kind of get us back on track though, like if you go back and look at the original anime of Cowboy Bebop, Jet Black, who in the character is ostensibly a whole white dude, just a kind of old, grizzled.
Wasn't even old. Like I think I read he was like 40. He was like 38, 40.
Okay,
like
which is weird because they made him look like, honestly, had you not said that, I just would have been like, oh yeah, motherfucker had to be like in his like 50s or some shit.
And like Spike was like 26, 27 or something like that. Like it was weird.
You know what it is? It's kind of like how American comics used to be back in the 70s and 80s. You would have a character that was like a teenager, Like, go back and look at like the old 1970s original X-Men. They're supposed to be teenagers. Them motherfuckers look good and grown. Like good in their 30s.
I feel like people also, some of them motherfuckers looked grown early. Like, I feel like generations age crazy.
The famous Otis Redding.
Motherfucker was 25, looked like a youthful 47.
At best.
Every basketball player from like 1975, hairline back here at 21.
They all had the Bobby Womack.
Yeah.
The hairlines start like they like at the literally in here somewhere.
Them niggas stepped on the court like, I wish you didn't trust me so much.
Yeah.
Wildest song ever made. Wildest song
wild.
ever made.
Oh my god.
The original like fucking toxic R&B fuckboy. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
The original
No,
Brent
that was
Faiyaz.
yeah, Drake, Brent Faiyaz, Weeknd, they didn't invent that shit. Bobby Womack did.
Look, first off, I used to always tell folks if you had a hairline like if you had the Bobby Womack, you ain't shit. And any woman who puts her trust in you, I don't mean to be ugly, but that's on you. You saw
really
that
facts.
motherfucker hairline
That's
was
really
back
facts.
here.
Come on, you could see his thoughts, and you really thought, okay, this is the guy. Bad choice. Toxic.
That was the red flag right
Yeah.
there. All on the floor.
That's what I'm saying.
That was
Niggas with good little tiny foreheads and nice clean hairlines, that's who you want to go for. Those are the good ones.
Considering that Jet Black had the Bobby Womack, you'd have thought he would have been like that, but he was actually like kind of cool. Yeah. He was one of the most reasonable people. You had Bo Billingsley, whole black man, voicing this guy. The way he played him, which, I mean, to be fair, it's the Bo Billingsley voice. Like, ever since Cowboy Bebop, Bo Billingsley is just always Jet Black in any anime that he ever does voice acting for. Like, you're just like, yep, that's Jet Black. Same as how Steve Blum is Spike Spiegel in pretty much everything. He has three voices: his normal voice, his Orochimaru voice, and his Spike voice. That's it.
Yep.
Don't ask for nothing else.
And the dude that played Ichigo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He is like the sub version. Well, no, the sub and the goddamn dub.
And I get it too, because it's just the way. It's the nature of the business. Yeah, when you hire Denzel, you want Denzel. So I get it. Yeah, but it's still weird.
You do the thing where you're
But
like, can you? All right, can you do that, Denzel, for us, please? Well, I don't know. This is kind of a comedy. Hey, look, can you
get really
you
angry?
want this? The Pelican Bay?
Right.
I got you. Don't worry
amazing,
about
darling, amazing.
it. Yes, the camera loves you.
Sam, I know it's not in the script, but we'd really like it if you said motherfucker
please,
like,
just
a couple of times in the mic,
Samuel Jackson.
It's a romance. It's a gentle romance set in the south of France. Hey, look, can you just say, motherfucker, please?
It was one
come
or two
on, just
motherfuckers,
once.
Bitch,
I
you're in a
motherfucking
dark
love you.
Paris alley. We'll make it fit. Don't worry. We'll make it
And
fit.
rap.
It's like,
Oh shit!
Cut the
the
check.
trailer is looking crazy. It's Emily and Perry with the fucking Eiffel Tower in the back. Bitch, I love you. This summer.
I am sick and tired of these motherfucking rings on this motherfucking fence.
I think we just described a day in the life of Samuel L. Jackson,
Honestly.
just straight up and down. I think if you actually gave this man time, like if someone that gave him a fair chance at stepping out of his typecasting, he would. I bet you he was surprised. I think he would surprise
'cause
people.
Speaking of anime, so you all have all seen Afro Samurai, yeah? So like, I think that was some of his most interesting, like subdued acting, like that I've seen from him. Because the way he plays Afro is like totally different.
If you step outside of like your anime characters,
PB&J Otter, all Negroes. PB&J Otter, all Negroes.
Between the Lions.
Between the Lions. Oh, that's the Huxtables. That's the Huxtables, honestly. That's a literature professor, like black woman who went to Spelman, and her, like, come on, we know the vibes. We know what time it is.
growing up as a kid, my mother was into Star Trek, so by proxy, I was into Star Trek. And as I got older, you get to Next Generation, you got whole, Kunta Kinte over here in Geordie LaForge, but then you also had Worf, which, to be fair, played by a whole Negro in Michael Dorn.
The Klingons, they're all niggas, though, right?
And that's my point. Like, Worf, despite the fact that he was, he's technically a Klingon, I didn't know many people who saw him that way. They just, that's just black dude. That's a whole Negro.
Ain't that what they look like?
Yeah, it's like, with the shit on their forehead where, like, it looked like they could.
It's common.
Yeah, like if they headbutt you, they kill you. Like everybody got the Bobby Womack.
Yeah, because
Like,
they all got
everybody
the
got the Bobby-
hairline.
The hereditary Bobby Womack is crazy.
Bobby Womack went out into space and seeded a whole planet full of folks. That's how out of pocket he was.
They trusted him too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
That whole planet trusted him. God damn.
That was his calling card. After every sexual
was it.
encounter, you just hear, "I wish he didn't trust me so much." I did want to kind of like get back into like the main thing, because I had a thought like when it comes to Japanese possible portrayal of black people, or like how we adopt like certain characters as black, even if they're not. I think for me, like when I watch anime, and I'm a big anime head, so like I'm not necessarily looking for black people, and then I'm also not expecting them to have a whole lot of black representation, because there came a point in time when I realized like, yo, this is not our culture. This is this is Japanese culture that they're portraying, or like that they're coming up, you know, that they're having these ideas with this art style from. I got this album, but just real quick to finish.
That's why I raised my hand. I ain't trying to interrupt. I just want to know. I want to go next.
Bet.
He's like, I just want to let you know, I'm about to come out here.
I got something for your ass. But I just also wanted to say was like, also, it's like, hey, they also don't have a lot of contact with actual black people, and sometimes they just completely fuck it up. But we have seen characters such as Canary from Hunter x Hunter completely got it right of a black character, at least from a term of representation of like the appearance that she was drawn. Had the big lips, but it wasn't offensive. So there's like a thing.
It wasn't the big Sambo lips.
No, not at all. Like the Piccolo
There was two
lip,
separate lips. It wasn't a pink donut.
Exactly. So there's a thing of like, I give like grace and leeway there to not expect a whole lot of black representation, although it's nice when we do get it. So, and black people make shit cool, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our culture, black people have largely adopted the anime culture, and we make that shit cool as fuck. We make things cool, and we make anime culture like wildly cooler than it was before, globally.
Facts.
Agreed. Yeah. So common misconception, and I get where the misconception comes from, and there are some very clear markers of very popular animes that kind of debunk this. But there's this conception that all anime characters are Asian.
Yeah.
Right.
They are not. They're not.
Attack.
Exactly. Attack on Titan is probably the most obvious and well-known example where they explicitly state that almost none of those characters are Asian,
Except for Mikasa, and that was like the last of her fucking tribe, damn near. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So her and Levi technically would have been the only ones that had Asian ancestry on that entire show.
Kenny.
The rest of them motherfuckers was white.
Oh yeah.
So-
Big white.
So like people have this idea that like just because like they're drawn in that art style that the Japanese like artists are portraying Japanese or just larger East Asian people. They're not. So that's one. Two, Asian people have no issue, you know, appropriating black culture for other shit.
Oh, yeah.
So they have no issue and no shame about getting those things wrong when they appropriate it. So I have no issue with you dropping some black people, diaspora wide, in fact, not even just, you know, black American people, into your creations, because you do it for everything else. You know, like East Asian people have effectively appropriated so much of our culture that it's not funny. Every K-pop band is basically stealing,
different
you know,
periods.
90s, different periods and all that kind of stuff. Get it? I'm just making a larger point about cultural appropriation. I'm not saying that this is, you know, specific to any culture or any one thing, but my whole point is there are clear-cut, widespread examples of them taking the culture, and they didn't have an issue with that. So I get what you're saying, Josh, and I think that you're largely correct. I think that I agree with 90% of everything that you said.
I agree 100%.
But
with
those
what you just
caveats
said.
are
You're right.
those caveats have to be
Yeah,
said.
you're right. No, you're totally right. I just want to say one more thing, because in like one of my favorite animes is Samurai Champloo. They got that shit 100% right.
Yeah.
Mugen could be a black person, Asian person.
He's
being
kind of
black.
coded
black.
But he
some
also they also tell you where he's from. He's Asian by
Yeah,
default,
exactly.
because he says he's from Ryokyu,
Ryukyu's
like
island.
the island. Yeah, so like they tell you where he's from, but you're right,
but
coded.
yeah.
From a style perspective,
Yes.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, like,
I mean, dude was
music-
breakdancing.
style percent, but also like the overall music, the OST that from behind it, even though like it came from Japanese people, but like Nujab is Force of Nature, Fat John is black, but anyway, but there's so many producers on that anime that largely drew inspiration from jazz and
That's
hip hop.
actually a good-ass point.
Oh
That's
yeah,
back to
100%.
Alvin's point, because they've been doing jazz shit for like since the fucking 80s or whatever,
Yeah,
taken from. So that's a
Yoko
fair
Kanno
point,
and the Seatbelts. They are largely largely influenced a jazz and rock band.
Oh yeah. I'll even, I don't know if you guys have ever checked out this anime. There's one called Michiko and Hachin. It's something that's been like constantly coming up lately for me. It's actually one of the few kind of similar album to what you were talking about, like where it's pretty much stated in Attack on Titan. None of these people are Japanese except for like one or two people, debatably. In Michiko and Hachin, it all takes place in like a fictionalized version of South America. So your principal characters are Afro-Latina or just Latina in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it actually, which, despite the fact that they do not get an actual like Afro-Latin or black or some person of color to play the lead, everything that happens in the anime is very much, it's clearly coded to where Michiko, who is the overall main character, she does all the typical things you would expect out of a black woman. Her mannerisms, the way she snaps back at people, how she talks. She has like the neck rolling and the snappiness and whatever. Basically, she kind of acts like, honestly, in a lot of ways, she acts like what you would expect out of a ratchet black woman. like she is just
a ratchet black woman.
A hood rat, if you will.
in a manner of speaking.
It's funny though, because in that anime though, like, and sometimes, man, there are parts of me where I'm kind of like, man, I don't know if this is right. Just because you know where this came from. Like, man, I don't know how I feel about y'all. Like, kind of, guys, like some of it's accurate, some of it's like
You gotta be mad when it's a little bit accurate.
Yeah, because when you have the mirror held up to yourself, sometimes you don't like what you see, and that was kind of that situation where I was like, man, I kind of want to call this racist, but man, I know some black women act like this. Lord have mercy. Yeah, it's like Michiko's basically like if you took Spike Spiegel but made Spike Spiegel a woman, because it's about roughly the same attitude, but just made that character ratchet. That's basically, actually, probably even, I would even say not even Spike Spiegel, closer to Mugen of Samurai Champloo. In that regard, but yeah, like it's one of the rare instances where we actually see that kind of representation, and when it's done, it's done. I feel for the most part, like I said, there's some moments where I'm kind of like, ooh, man, I don't know, but it's still good. It's still good. It's entertaining. It has a point. It doesn't come off as mean spirited in any way. Like the character does feel natural. They also have another character in there that's like a sassy black woman, which also feels kind of weird in some ways, but I have met women who are like this person, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, like when it happens and it's good, I think it's great.
Yeah.
But like I feel like it's that lack, like, because back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there weren't a lot of black characters and really a lot of anything. You usually got one. If you had a black character in something, it was the one, and they probably weren't important.
Even recently, so I remember being younger. And I don't do cosplay stuff. I have very clear lines for my nerd. But
he's like, look, I don't fuck with that shit, okay?
it's like I'm going to the convention with y'all. I will not be dressing up. I will be the odd man out. But anyway,
Who are you? A nigga at work.
Depressed, yeah, nigga with a job.
so like my friends would do theme stuff, right? And I remember one year the theme they picked was Final Fantasy 13, and they was like, "Hey, Alvin, you can just be Saz." And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, motherfuckers don't even just gonna put me in that box. Why I can't be one of these other motherfuckers? Why I gotta be the black one? But to that point, if we wanted to do that, like if I wanted to be the black character, there is only one black character, up to that point, you know what I mean? So it was like, who else could I have been? If I wanted to, be a person that represented, something that looks like me, someone that looks like me in that fictional universe. So you're right. Even up to that point, there just isn't a lot. If I can sit down and name them like that,
like you could literally, like right now, no Google in front of you, just straight off the dome. If you can literally just be like, yeah, there's this one. Oh shit, there ain't a lot. Well, as a kid, my thing was Thundercats. There were no black people in that. except
Panthro
for
was
Panthro.
black. No, but yeah, Panthro was black.
Look, hey, Panthro was all we had, okay? And like, I was literally like, when I was talking to my wife about what we were gonna be talking. She was like, "Hey, what are you gonna be talking about?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, this, that, and third." And she was like, "I can't really think of any." I was like, "You're white, that's why." But then I was telling her about Thundercats. She was like, "Oh, damn." She was like, "Oh, that's what you mean." Yeah, Panthro. Yeah. He was the only dark skinned one, even though he was technically gray. He was bald. Kind of had a big nose, big bell pepper nose. He
The
had
voice.
Yeah,
the
and
voice.
it was the voice.
The consistency. It's the voice.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes you wonder, like, dude, where was all this? Like where were we? Like, we were, because you either had one black character or a character that could just be black adjacent. It's like we don't get anything else.
And I think that kind of just goes back to my point, especially when we're talking about like 70s and the 80s, and still like anime is still a relatively new form of like a relatively new media outlet form or whatever, going back to like the 70s, 80s. So especially back then with Japanese culture and them not, especially two things, Japanese people not having much interaction or exposure to black people, black culture, and then two, westernized media largely influencing Japanese audiences, and then like that standard of beauty also being played upon them. So that's again a thing of like, hey, I can understand why we didn't see a whole lot of our sort of representation in this, in this medium.
Well, even something like Alvin, something you said earlier, we were talking about like how with the assumption of every anime character is Japanese. I think it works both ways. I think, like, because I know a lot of white people who just, while they are keenly aware these characters are probably supposed to be Japanese, a lot of times, sometimes, I think they just automatically assume, not saying that they think the characters are white, but because the characters don't look obviously Asian, because, like, y'all... Yeah, they adopted. They got big eyes.
It's the big eyes and the big titties.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, my God.
Anime titties every time.
Anime titties. Like,
that's
not what Japanese women known for. Let's keep it like, let's be real.
They got all kind of different colored hair and stuff, and then like specifically horizontally large eyes. Like it seems like you're trying to make them not look you know what I mean? Like,
do y'all remember the cosplay girl that, like, I think she went viral on like social media somewhere, Twitter, Facebook somewhere, but she was talking about how she was being bullied in the cosplay community, and it was like comments of people saying that like, oh, you're black and trying to cosplay this character. This character's not black. You're not allowed to cosplay this character. And basically, all of them were saying the same thing. Only white people should be allowed to be these characters.
To play these Japanese characters,
even characters that aren't white, like characters that are ostensibly not white in anime. So I feel like it works. I think like it kind of works both ways.
Yeah.
For everybody.
I had a friend that was bullied relentlessly because she did a very popular Wonder Woman cosplay. And she labeled it a Wonder Woman cosplay, and
not Nubia.
Not Nubia.
Well, relentlessly saying, "Oh, so it's a Nubia cosplay."
I'm Diane.
And she was like, it fucking says Wonder Woman on the thing.
Mascara.
Yeah.
And they're like Nubia, like no.
You mean Wonder Woman to Earth 23? No.
Just regular white Wonder Woman, all right? The kind that, the Zionist kind, just the regular one.
Spicy white Wonder Woman.
But aren't they mostly Japanese though? Like, I know you said like Attack on Titan, and yes, all those reasons they like look white, but in like Dragon Ball, like I don't know a whole bunch of anime, but aren't they mostly?
There are a lot of them that literally take place and note Japanese origin, right? So I'm thinking of like again, like some of the popular like
it's in Japan.
Yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen is like they're clearly in Japan. They're clearly know Japanese. They clearly talk about a larger world. Yeah. They clearly talk about a larger world outside of Japan. But like, yes, a lot of them will note, sword art. Like they're like we're in Japan,
and they reference speaking Japanese. A lot.
Yes.
Then let's,
Japanese concepts and ideas that are like, so I feel like the vast majority of anime, the characters are like Japan, but if everybody looked like a white person. That's what it seems to me.
But there's substantially more where they're not Japanese than people assume. Right? I would venture to say it's probably 30%.
30. All right.
What Rengaku from Bleach? Like, I mean, like you said, like there's a ton of characters.
Wait, in Bleach aren't they mostly Japanese?
I just gave you like an example of like a woman who's in Bleach with the huge titties, blonde hair. She's clearly a white woman. Rengaku.
Yeah, like there's I would even and you can even look at like One Piece. Not all those characters are Japanese.
Absolutely
that is a rainbow coalition of motherfuckers in
100%. Yeah.
One Piece. I would even go as far as say I think One Piece and other than Attack on Titan, I think that One Piece is probably the most non-Japanese, like in terms of like representation, anime you could probably watch. But yeah, I feel like with anime specifically though, we do see a lot of, there's a lot of those characters that, well, I think, because Bleach had some POC characters,
Yoruichi, baby.
here and there.
The
Yeah, like it just
fuck up in that.
And honestly, I kind of feel like Bleach is probably one of the few, and when I say few, I mean like mainstream, like the anime everybody was watching. Not the obscure stuff that maybe like 10 people know about.
It was a big five at one point. People, you know what I mean?
Bleach is the big three. Like it's Naruto, Bleach, One
Oh,
Piece. But I mean, like no, for you, no. I mean, okay, we ain't got enough time, but
Person shooter. Who is it?
But I'm just saying, like everyone knows Bleach. That's the point.
Kendrick, then Cole, then me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
And I don't
But,
even like Bleach is my least favorite, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh my God.
I would be a liar if I said that that I have any like massive love for it. But like, yeah, we do get other ones though. Like we do get like Full Metal Alchemist had some representation there, if on some minor level, I
Full
guess.
Metal Alchemist is also predominantly not Japanese too.
Yeah, that was like the whole concept of it was very steampunk medieval European.
There might have been like a handful of like actual like dyed in the wool Japanese characters in that. Pretty much everyone's white.
Oh, but Ling in Brotherhood, he was Chinese.
Oh
Well-
yeah, that's true.
That's Japanese.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. Ling.
That's
Oh, I thought this was what you were saying. I was trying to agree.
That's what I said. He was
I don't
Chinese.
watch anime.
He was Chinese.
But you should, Eddie. You probably might like Brotherhood, though. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I like
Brotherhood is Brotherhood
Fullmetal
is
Alchemist is
the
great, yeah.
superior.
It is.
Yeah.
You are correct.
It is the superior. But I mean, I think both series are amazing and fun to watch. Totally great. But if I have a choice of rewatching some shit, yeah, I'm gonna do Brotherhood.
It's brother. Like, no one recommends the first Full Metal Alchemist when someone is getting into anime. They say watch Full Metal Alchemist
No.
Brotherhood. They don't say watch Full Metal Alchemist.
I hate the way it ends. I probably would never watch it again, but like I enjoyed the journey. Like I
Why
love the
never
journey
again?
watching it. I just hate the way it ends. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay, yeah, don't spoil it, but is this a thing that I don't even want to check out?
No, you should check it out. Like I say, I enjoyed the journey.
Okay.
I enjoyed the journey.
This nigga
But yeah. he's like never again. Just to kind of get us kind of on the road to home. Do you think like today versus then, even though maybe not as many like major steps have been cleared, like how do y'all feel about like where we're at right now?
First of all, we only talked about anime, and I feel like I think I'm like Alvin did kind of change my mind a little bit, but I'm like, yeah, it's a culture from another place that we like adopted. Like it's Japanese animation, and we like, why is not more niggas in this? It's like, I mean, yeah, fair enough. They appropriate. Maybe there should be a bit like 10%. I get it, but it's like a Western animation or like animation in other places seems like it's more. That would be where stuff would be happening. And
My
that
thoughts
has,
on that,
to
and-
an extent.
Yeah, and I was actually, so Eddie, you actually kind of segued me pretty nicely. So I was gonna say that I think we have more. What I don't think we do, especially if you look outside of anime and just media in general, is I don't think you have good representation of the diaspora and all the diversity that we have within it, right? So the big thing in video games recently has been all the new black video game characters have the fucking Killmonger hair.
Yeah.
So like that's been the thing. Or like they had, or like how and I love this game, so I play Overwatch 2 quite a bit, and just like the Lucio locks and like all that kind of situation. But they have one template that they run to the ground.
And
They're like
nobody
every black
has that
cat
hair in real life. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like I know
like two people with it, but they got it because
one
of
those
Killmonger.
people.
Oh,
'cause I
no,
was gonna say
same.
one person that I know is a person that I know you know. So I'm like,
Yeah, it's the same
That's-
person.
yeah,
It's the same
okay,
person.
yeah.
So it's
yeah, because I feel like I feel like that's the hairstyle that
We've known each other a long time. We
Okay,
know
yeah,
the same.
And then he
I
said
feel like
that
that's the
same
hairstyle where
haircut for since Black Panther came out. Goddamn.
Yeah, he hasn't changed it.
But
He
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I can be
that's
black
true,
just like
though.
that. Let me get that haircut."
Yeah. So I think there's more, and I think that's a step in the right direction. What I would like to see the next phase of that would be to have diverse black people, because again, we are the most diverse group of people on the planet. Like, look at us. Like, you got four Negroes on this, and none of us are the same. None of us look alike. We're all different shades of brown. All of our hair is different. So I would say, just more diversity in how they do their templates.
I think all of that will come down to like funding more like black creatives, because like if you don't have more black animators, more black like video game designers, 3D artists, etc., all of that, then you get 6 white guys going, I don't know, fucking slap the fucking Killmonger Lego hair template on top of his head, and I guess that's a black person. But if you've got actual black people behind the camera, not just as talent, then that's what changes all of that. When you have the Issa Raes, the Donald Glovers, the Jordan Peele, whoever, that's what pushes that forward more.
Yeah, but because that's another. Because I still kind of go back to the point. It was like, this is somebody else's totally different culture. Like, I get it. All the caveats are valid that we discussed.
I was talking about media as a whole.
Media
I was talking about
I'm
media
not
as a
saying
whole.
we need to have
I
niggas
thought-
take over anime creation.
And okay,
No,
gotcha.
maybe.
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Cool.
We got to send black
honestly,
people to
Y'all
Japan.
niggas is stretching, bro.
Yeah, we got to take over. Donald Glover needs to drop the new fucking episode of Berserk, produced,
to run the
written
entire
by
thing.
Donald Glover.
Berserk-
Tyler, the creator, get over there
directing
now.
That bitch. Like, yo, we out of there.
He can't even speak Japanese. Fuck it. It's all in English now. No, but they got black people over there too. But it's like such a low percentage of the population. It's like 1%, if that.
I mean, it's even weird to me, not gonna lie. Like, as much as we've talked about this, like, I mentioned earlier, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider. There's a season of Super Sentai, which was never adapted over here as Power Rangers, but it was Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger. One of the like supporting characters is a whole black dude speaking Japanese the whole time, does not speak in English really at all, and he doesn't act like a typical black person. He's actually, and I guess maybe the language barrier for me is just the fact that he's speaking in Japanese, so I'm not really hearing what he's saying as English. But if I had to like equate him to something, he's kind of like a very like he comes off as a flamboyant gay man.
Okay.
Like his mannerisms, the way that he's portrayed.
They got a nigga from Atlanta. Nice.
Right. Yeah. I'm about to say.
Representing for
I
the whole team.
mean, if I
Yo, that's what's up. Go Braves.
and I think one of the recent seasons of Kamen Rider, there was a black man that was on that was on it, and he didn't act like a stereotypical black dude. He just acted like any other person. It wasn't like they were trying to stereotype him or anything. Like, he just was a dude who just happened to be black, who was hanging out with Kamen Rider. And I've seen that a few times. Like, they, sometimes they, like in the past, they would kind of like, stereotype it up. And it would be kind of weird. And then other times they would do it really respectfully. So I think your mileage is going to vary. Media overall, yes, we've come a long way. So much of a long way to where maybe instead of only having one Negro in something, we might have two. Unless it's The Walking Dead, then you have to kill one of them.
Then it's just the
Though I think that's changed. I think they've changed that now. That rule is no longer in effect.
All right, bro. You already know what it is, man. You got to make a dumb decision. You got to do some shit that you normally would not have done in your previous character.
Look, it ain't you, it's us.
totally out of place.
You know,
Your demise.
Really, it's the new guy.
Right?
Who told him to show up?
I think the sad part, I think it was 2 or 3 different black dudes showed up in that same episode other than T-Dog. They're like, yeah, it's too many of y'all up in here, man. We got to get y'all up out. Folks, the white folks watching this going to get confused. Yeah, I feel like we're at a point right now where, it's gotten better. I think it's definitely gotten better. We're seeing more. There's more representation out there than there has been in the past, but it can always be better.
Until we take over completely, will we be satisfied?
Anime is a whole other culture. I don't expect to see that representation there.
What's the correct amount of representation in anime? Like, if they have the number of black people that exist in Japanese society, cool, that'll be 1 in every 1,000 characters.
That's about what they do. If we're being honest, that's about what they do.
There's like one aspect of the conversation that might be missing. That is with Asian people and their fondness of whiteness. And it's
That
so
is
weird
that is the
to me.
biggest point.
That is so weird.
Why did the
to
Super
me.
Saiyans turn white when they turn Nordic when they get
They turn
superpowers?
German.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like
they turn
blonde hair,
German. What's
blue
going
eyes,
on right
like-
now? The blue eyes white dragon. It's not something not adding up.
This
like-
is the real.
I love how you pointed at your third album. You said that like you was ready.
Yeah,
To,
he's
you was ready to pop it off.
Brother.
He's about to get his math off.
Proximity to whiteness is definitely a problem in anime, and I do feel like, you know, kind of like what I was saying earlier, how like it kind of works both ways, and I feel like that's why white people are so emboldened to try and come after black people when they try and cosplay certain characters or try to be all about certain characters they feel aren't for them. You know, the gatekeeper types. I'm not saying everyone, but like your gatekeeper types. Honestly, Japan has some very strange fascinations with a lot of things. They have a very strange fixation on whiteness and Christian iconography. I want to actually come back to this at a later point and just share more, because I feel like we definitely got some more to do. So if you loved any part of this, go check out Waving the Red Flag over on YouTube. I will say full endorsement here. These brothers are not only hilarious, but also incredibly informative. There'll be links in the description, pin, comment below. Y'all know the drill by now, I hope by this point. Do the YouTube thing, go over there, go show some love, just go just go through the whole playlist. They got videos. They got tons of videos, trust
Check
me.
us out.
We got videos. We got shirts. We got pastors. We got porn stars. We got academics. We got fucking comedians. We got hot dogs. Whatever you need.
And we
sell
just
it,
got
you know
us,
what I'm saying?
you
We
know what
got
I'm saying?
do-rags.
You know what I'm saying? We got the table. You know what I mean? That's what we got.
I want to say thank y'all so much for hanging out, and we will see y'all next time. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.